Greetings and salutations to those of you who are fans of getting dirty. I am your race host from Ministry, Kevin. Today we are recapping, reviewing, rewinding our race at RCP and Up the Creek 50-mile challenge. First off, I want to thank each and every one of you who braved the crazy heat this past weekend for this challenge of ours. It was absolutely amazing how many people actually showed up, signed up. Yeah, I don't think we had but maybe 2 or 3 no-shows. Absolutely amazing. The heat index crept upwards towards 105 degrees throughout the day, and yet everyone survived. Seriously, I think we only had 2 or 3 no-shows. And the vast majority of folks who went after that 50-mile challenge met that challenge and succeeded. Way to go. We basically had 4 categories for this one. There was a 50-mile challenge, not really a true race, just a personal achievement challenge. You know, knock out 50 miles at Rowlett Creek Preserve in less than 7 hours. We had a 50-mile race version of that same 50-mile course. There was a 2-lap 20-mile course and a 1-lap 10-mile beginner race. Both the 1 and the 2-lappers were races only. The challenge was only at that 50-mile level. Everybody who met that challenge, whether they were in the racing category or the non-competitive category competing against their own accomplishments, will receive a special memento for meeting that challenge. And just to let you know, this really surprised us. Almost 60% of the people that signed up this weekend were going after that 50-mile challenge. That's pretty impressive. Our 50-mile racers took off at 7:30 a.m. and that did include a pretty well-rounded contingent of female racers, which allowed for a full women's podium. We're really excited by that. 15 minutes later at 7:45, the 50-mile challengers took off, and they definitely were full of grit and determination. Each of our groups, every distance, they followed that exact same 10-mile lap with the same markings and everything else. The only difference between them were the number of laps that each group participated in. Just a quick sidebar, a side note. We run into this with almost every mountain bike event of ours. It doesn't really apply on gravel nearly as much. With a funky course, it may from time to time. GPS data on mountain bike trails is inherently flawed. It's never accurate. There are a lot of technical reasons for that. But I can definitely assure you that if you're not set up with a dedicated bike computer with a properly calibrated wheel sensor, the mileage you're showing on your computers is not going to be true mileage. It's not going to be accurate mileage. There's not really a downside to that. Just don't get bent out of shape if we're telling you it's a 10-mile lap and your computer shows 8 or 9. There's always going to be flawed data on the GPS side of things. We'll do a dedicated video for that in the near future and really break that down. The nuts and bolts of it are all of the data aggregators, Strava, Garmin, Ride with GPS. They're using a set of databases and algorithms to kind of combine your data into what they think is the most appropriate route you may have followed when you're following mountain bike trails. I can definitely assure you of this. If you're tracking Strava segments and comparing against that, almost always that mileage is going to be off. They just defer to the same mileage for a defined segment. And if that mileage was originally created with erroneous data, it's going to continue to have that wrong mileage. Our 20-mile racers, they took off at 9 a.m. The humidity had knocked down a touch then. The sun was coming out. A breeze kicked up. It got a little bit more pleasant for a very narrow window until that sun just kept going up and the heat went up accordingly as well. Our 10-mile beginner racers took off at 9:30. All in all, this was a pretty uneventful race, which we like that. No rider extractions were needed. There were a few mechanicals, some flat tires, I think a busted chain, and maybe one busted handlebar. Bumps and bruises along the way, people taking a tumble here and there, but thankfully no need for EMS or anything like that. there were lots of snake sightings. This was a snaky day. And a little bit of vegetation to deal with, some face slappers here and there, and maybe some tall grass off to the side. But all in all, we want to give the Friends of the Trail and Jack, the RCP crew, a big thank you. They bent over backwards to get the trail in shape for all of our racers this past weekend. If you've never done trail maintenance, you probably have no clue how quickly things just go out of control in this time of year when it's this hot, and you throw some rain and humidity in the mix, it just explodes. And these guys were kind of behind the 8 ball. The trail was muddy up until Tuesday, I believe. So they got a bunch knocked out in a very narrow window. So big thanks to Jack and the Friends of the Trail. Somewhere down the road, they're going to have another organized work day, and we're going to rally the troops for them on that day as well. So our overall beginner podium, 10 mile, first place was Christopher Salas with a time of 47:08. Second place, Ian Dewey, I believe he's 15 years old, 48 minutes even. And third place, Henry Romero, 51:47. Our top female in that 10 mile beginner category was Stevie Schaefer. And we want to give a special shout out and thank you to Lex Jackson. We had a little bit of a timing confusion, but she helped us get it sorted out. And we've got a special thank you coming for Lex as well. Our 20 mile podium, first place, Brandon Nix, 1 hour 18, 26 seconds. Second place, Cody Dacey, 1:20:04. And then third place, Daryl Gordon, 1:21:57. Our 20 mile top female, Stacy, and I've always pronounced this Kotria. I may be wrong. I apologize, Stacy, if I have been. I think I heard a Katria somewhere in the mix. So next time we see each other, remind me the proper pronunciation. Our 50 mile female podium was first place, Rachel Tabes, if I remember correctly. An unusual spelling and an unusual pronunciation. So Rachel, I hope I got that one right. Second place, Megan Alpha, 3:50:57, and if I didn't give Rachel's time, it was 3:41:13. And third place, the always resilient Kathy Johnson, 3:56:14. And our 50 mile overall podium, first place, Ben Hokamp, 3:19:33. Second place, Randy Gibson, 3:22:44. Randy gave it a heck of an effort. I can assure you, he wore Ben down. Don't let that gap fool you. He made Ben push it, and he backed off that last lap. Randy came in fresher than Ben at the end. I'll leave it at that. Third place, Tom Young, 3:27:44. Now, in short, we are really excited from the outcome and the feedback on this new challenge format we've come up with. It seems to have gone over really well. We enjoy putting it on. We're looking forward to bringing more of those your way. Our next one will be the North Shore Big Kahuna Challenge on July 9th, obviously at the North Shore Trail, taking that off from Mad Shelter. And then stay tuned for announcements for definitely a September event that we'll be doing as well. Possibly, we're weighing it, an August challenge event also, maybe a night timer. August is a tough month to try to put in a high mileage challenge, but on top of that, August 13th, I believe, that weekend, somewhere thereabouts, is also the Ray Porter Memorial Race. Anybody that's up for a challenge race, that's a great challenge in August. We're going to be out there, so you plan to join us and Big Pig Cancer Foundation for the Ray Porter Memorial Race in August. Thanks for joining us. Keep those pedals turning.